Hey everyone, this is Shauna, your tax goddess. I want to talk to you today about something called the 13-week cash flow model. Especially with everything going on right now, a lot of business owners are not sure if they're going to have enough cash, if they're, kind of what they're budgeting. This is kind of like a format for budgeting. Should they be cutting costs? Should they be trying to increase sales? What should they be doing right now? And, the 13-week cash flow model is simple. It's easy to put together, and it gives you some really good basic knowledge about your business. So I really, really like the 13-week cash flow model. We actually use this in our own company to track income, expenses, estimated income, what are we expecting? And then what changes, what I love about this is what changes do we need to make based on our estimates. Okay, so I'm going to do a little screen share here, and I want to kind of run you guys through this because I really honestly believe that this is super duper important for business owners to have. And if you don't have one of these, it's like I said, it's simple. It's pretty easy to put together. Your bookkeeper should be able to do this for you. Your CPA, you yourself can do this if you don't have a financial team member like that. So let's jump over to the sheet and let's take a look at what this thing looks like. Okay, so what you guys are seeing here, this is a template, and I'd be happy to share the template. So if anyone needs a copy of this template, please just let me know. We'll email you a copy of the template. But this is a very basic template for a 13-week cash flow. So we're going to start kind of blown out here for a second. What you can see is at the top, we're going to start with your actual cash. Okay, so the very first week, this last one we ran for our company on March 10th, numbers and bank accounts names have been changed, but running these numbers. So this is your actual cash. This is where you actually are. Now, I recommend that you update the sheet every single week, okay? Because as you can see along the top, this gives you 13 weeks, right? It's kind of your projection for the next 13 weeks. So for the next 3 months, right, where do you expect you're going to be based on known information and estimated information? And if you're keeping this thing up to date, right, you're going to have a really good idea of how good your estimates really are. Okay, so you're going to see 3 main sections. You've got the yellow section, which is cash. Okay, you've got the green section, which is estimated and known income. And then you have the red section, which is estimated and known expenses. Okay, so I've made this one very simplified, but simple is good. Okay, so this is a really good place to start if you've never built one of these models. Now, when you get down here into this kind of purple section, this is how much cash we are estimated to have. All right, so if we take a look at this thing, you can see here that at the beginning, right, as of March 10th, this company had a total amount of cash of $66,000. Okay, now per last week, right, you're going to make a copy of this sheet for every week so you can start tracking. All right, so last week's 13-week cash flow, we estimated that we were only going to have $49,000 in cash. So the first question is, what does this tell me? This tells me that I sold something more than I was expecting, or my expenses were lower than what I was expecting. Okay, so important to know, just to have an idea of, where are we at and where are my guesses as a business owner, my projections versus reality. Okay. So as we follow down this first week, okay, here are the known numbers. So I know that I've already got some ACH deposits for $71.88. I've got some credit card deposits for another $1,000. I think these are estimates, okay? I think that I'm going to sell another $2,400 this week, but I'm not sure. So you can see how estimates are kind of all over the place, but known ACH deposits, like if you are recurring revenue, you charge monthly, you charge quarterly, whatever it is, you have known amounts, okay? So these estimates are typically where we're going to play with things, but we'll see that here in a little bit when we get to the bottom. Okay, so for the moment, this is my known, this is my estimates for my first week. And then again here, this is my known and my estimates of expenses for my business. So payroll is a massive one, okay? Rent, I know that I pay rent every single week, right? Or you might not pay rent every single week. You may pay rent once a month. Let's say you pay it on the first of the month. You may have 0, 0, 0 in all of these fields, and you might have your rent coming out on the first of the month for $2,500, right? So you, as you can see, you can change these figures to match whatever is really happening in your own business, okay? So we're just gonna update that. We're gonna say rent is $2,500 a month, okay? Now, taxes. This one is a formula, okay? You can change it for whatever works for you. So taxes here, I've said, okay, it's my payroll amount times 15.3%, which is the FICA, Medicare, and self-employment taxes, employer and employee side of the FICA, Medicare, and all the payroll taxes, plus another $250 a month because I might have to pay some sales taxes, right? These are whatever kinds of expenses you want. Now, what you can do, and it kind of, like I said, it depends on how complex you want to make this spreadsheet, you can add 400 columns, right? You can add whatever you want. So it's really up to you and how you want to see your information as a business owner, okay? So for purposes of this video, I've kept it kind of simple. Now, savings account. This is a mandatory for me. I want to put $1,000 into our savings account every single week. Then I have my owner's draw. So you'll notice it's not payroll, right? Because my payroll amount is up in the actual payroll numbers. This is my owner's draw. So if you're an S corporation or if you are a partnership, this is kind of like your guaranteed payments. But again, you can label these rows whatever you want to label them, okay? Debt payments. Let's say we've got a credit card, right? Those debt payments need to be on this sheet, right? So in this case, we're saying every month at the 10th of the month, we're going to have the $750 credit card payment, okay? Let's see, other known bills. So you might have insurance, you might have paid time off, right? You might have planned vacation for people. You might, there's a million things that you know are large bills that could be coming down the pipeline, right? But maybe your insurance is due once a year, right? So you can see here I threw in some estimates. I know I'm going to have a large bill, $2,500, and then I know I'm going to have another one, $16,000 coming in by April 21st. Thrown in just some other categories, dues and subscriptions. Now, personally, I like to add a fudge account, okay? And this is really carryover from, 25 years ago when I was a baby bookkeeper, okay? A fudge amount is, stuff happens, right? There's a magic expense that you weren't expecting, or there's a great deal that came up on this piece of equipment that you want to buy, but you have to buy it right now, right? So I'm a huge fan of having a fudge number in these expenses because that gives you that little bit of extra cash to kind of know what's going on. Okay, but again, of course, you can add and change these columns however you like. So let's run down. We're going to keep going on this first week. So we started off with a $66,000 balance. Okay, we had $10,000 worth of expenses. I'm sorry, $10,000 worth of income. So we're at 76, right? And we're spending $15,000 worth of expenses. So our net cash is $61,000. This is what we're expecting by the end of this week. So that $61,000 becomes the cash. Do you see that up here? Becomes the cash for the next week, okay? And that formula continues. So there's 53, 53, 44, 44, okay? Now, the further into the future you go, the less likely that you're going to know expenses or no income, okay? So for example, let's stick on the income side here for the next, month, 6 weeks, right? I have some ideas of what's going to close. I've spoken to some prospects. I know we're gonna close some deals. So I've thrown those numbers in there. But any further out than that, I really have no idea. So I've left those numbers completely blank. Okay. Now the same thing goes with expenses. Hopefully you know what kind of expenses are coming. But here, like the last big bill that I absolutely know about was at week 7. I don't know if there's something that's going to come up that I wasn't expecting after that, right? A car breakdown, right? A new roof on the building. Side note, really good spot to mention this. You can build one of these as a family. Okay, you can build one of these in your own household, all right? If you're getting your W-2 paycheck and you get paid every 2 weeks, you know what your bills are, you know what your income is. So you can build one of these to follow along and make sure that you know what your projected cash is going to be at the end of this 13-week cash flow, okay? So basically, okay, so let's look at this example. Right now, we filled in all of our numbers. We've gotten to 13-week estimated. This is a big, bad, scary number, right? This is telling me that in week 13, I'm going to be negative on cash, right, by $8,000. Now, it might be okay, right, because I've been putting $1,000 a month into savings, and I have a $2,000 a month fudge factor here, right? But maybe it's okay, maybe it's not. Maybe this is a sign as a business owner that you should be looking now at, do I need to cut back on some costs? Do I need to cut back on some hours? Do I need to really go hit the pavement and go sell some more clients, right? That 13-week cash flow estimate, if you've done the rest of the sheet well, right, to the best of your ability, the best of your knowledge, that 13-week cash flow is really important. Okay. Now, I want to show you something else here. All right. Here in week 12, we are negative $16,000. Okay. Now, yes, again, right, we're back to the fact where we hope we're going to have some cash flow in. You know, we hope we're going to have some sales, but it's one of my favorite business coaches, 𝘮𝘰𝘳𝘦, always said, cash or hope is not a strategy. Okay. And cash is king. Those two. Hope is not a strategy. So that week, when you go to pay your payroll, or, you know, your $7,800 payroll here, are you going to have enough cash to actually pay payroll? Or are you going to have to dip into your savings account, dip into a credit card, right? Dip into a line of credit that you have. So even though, you know, at the end, right, I mean, we all tend to focus on the bottom line of our profit loss and the very end of any kind of spreadsheet, right, the final number, you also want to be looking at what's going on in the meantime. Right? So here again at the bottom, what I'm seeing is an overall decline in total cash, right? I went from $61,000 to -8 in 13 weeks. It's a pretty scary concept, okay? And a lot of business owners, you know, many business owners use QuickBooks, right? Which is great. And I love QuickBooks, right? Profit loss, balance sheet, it's fantastic for those kind of things. I'm not so thrilled with its cash flow model. I mean, it's okay, right? And it describes exactly the same thing here, but one, not as far out. Two, typically more it's showing cash flow historically, not moving forward, right? This is a 13-week cash flow projection into the future. What are we expecting? Okay. And often small businesses, even medium-sized businesses, you know, you might have 100 employees, but you have one bookkeeper. They're not tracking this, right? They're just trying to keep their head above water, trying to make sure that you have profit, loss, and balance sheet, because that's what most business owners are focused on, right? They're focused on that bottom line profit. But the profit doesn't show you the big things in here, random expenses that are going to show up. It doesn't show you debt payments, right? That's a balance sheet item. Those debt payments can be kind of tricky. It also doesn't give you any real method to plan, because the profit loss is what has happened, right? It's not what's coming, it's what has happened. So unless you had one of these 13 weeks before the profit loss that you just received from your bookkeeper, you're flying a little bit blind, right? You really have no idea what's coming down the pipeline. So even if your current profit loss statement says, yeah, you made all this money, why is your cash account balance low in your bank account? You know, that's probably one of the most common questions is, Shauna, according to my P&L, I'm making all this money. Why don't I ever have any cash in my bank? This is why. Right? You're paying off debt, you're paying off expenses, you're moving things to a savings account, you're taking an owner's draw, right? None of that stuff, that's all cash flow. None of that stuff shows up on your profit loss, okay? So, you know, this spreadsheet I find extremely valuable for business owners, even, like I said, even for a household, okay, where you just don't know where your money's going, okay, and you're feeling insecure about the amount of cash you have, you're feeling insecure about, you know, what's going on with sales, you're feeling insecure with expenses. This is a very basic, very easy model to be able to use, right? It's a spreadsheet, guys, right? As you can see, we're in Google Sheets here, okay? This is a spreadsheet. All right, very, very easy model to use, allows you to garner a lot of information and a lot of pre-planning that many business owners just don't have. So if you guys have a bookkeeper, if you have a CPA, right, if you have anyone that's working on your stuff, I would ask them to build this for you, and if they can't or they won't, build it yourself, right? Like I said, Tax Goddess would be happy to give away a copy of the spreadsheet, okay? Just send us a message, post a message down below, you know, reach out to us on taxgoddess.com, send us an email, okay? info@taxgoddess.com. I wanna make sure the business owners out there know how to plan, what they're looking at, and what kind of information they should know 13 weeks in advance. So I'd love to hear your guys' commentary, love to hear your feedback on this. I know this example is a very simple example, right? Like I said, you can make it complex, you can make it simple, but you know, I feel like this is such a cornerstone for a lot of businesses, and they've never even heard of it, right? You might have heard of projections, might have heard of budgets. Having a 13-week cash flow projection is pretty rare for those small to medium-sized business owners out there. So, all right. I think that's it for today. So you guys know that I absolutely love chatting with you guys and bringing you tons of knowledge. So I hope that this is super useful for you. And again, I'd love your feedback, love your commentary. And yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful day. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.